Welcome back, learners, to another amazing video. In this video, we will go through the solved exercises of Chapter 7, We Are All One, from your English textbook. Get ready for clear explanations, answers, and helpful tips, all from page 140 to 146. Let's make learning simple and fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chapters and practice.
We are all one. Once there was a young woman who lived simply but happily with her husband and their 3 children until one day a strange illness of the eyes came into their home. First her husband and then their eldest son started having trouble with their eyesight. Everything looked blurry and gray to them. They went to the local doctor and they tried medicine after medicine. But nothing worked, and soon they found they could not see at all. Within a week, the illness had spread and now their middle son also could not see, and their youngest, a daughter, was showing the beginning symptoms of the illness. Rubbing her eyes and complaining that everything looked blurry. Some of their neighbors, as well, were afflicted with this strange illness. The people of the village began to wonder if they would all soon lose their eyesight. The woman was beside herself with worry. She visited the doctor, until finally one doctor told her of a miracle herb that might cure this illness. This healing herb was a plant that grew only in the deepest part of the forest. The woman decided she must leave her family to seek the herb. Early the next morning she headed into the forest. She looked under the bushes. She looked behind trees. She looked everywhere, but the herb was nowhere to be seen. Many hours later, exhausted, but still determined, the woman came upon a small stream. She sat down to rest, still looking around her for the herb. Then, she noticed a big rock had fallen into the stream, making the water run out of the stream to form a little pool. That little pool of water was flooding an anthill. Although she was in a hurry to find the herb, her heart went out to the ants. The woman stopped looking for the herb long enough to remove the big rock and dig a new channel for the water. With satisfaction, she watched as the water flowed away from the anthill. We are all one, she stated simply, and she continued on her way. The woman slept soundly that night, curled up under a large tree with a blanket to keep her warm. As she slept, a strange dream came to her. In the dream, she was inside the anthill, surrounded by cheering ants. The queen ant stepped forward majestically. "Do not be afraid," she reassured the woman. "We have brought you here to thank you for saving our home and our lives. In return, if you ever need our help, all you need do is call for us, and we will hear you and come to your aid." As the dream faded and the woman began to wake, she heard the queen ant's voice calling after her, distinctly saying, "We are all one." All through that day, the woman searched for the herb. She wondered if she were already too late and if everyone in her village was already blind. She was startled from her thoughts by the sound of a bird, intent upon catching a small centipede. The centipede was scurrying across the ground as quickly as his many legs would carry him. Taking pity upon the defenseless centipede, she quickly scooped him up and frightened the bird from her prey. Saying, "We are all one," she carried the centipede to some leaves and placed him gently in their cover. That night she again had strange dreams. This time she was visited by the centipede. "Thank you for saving my life," the tiny voice proclaimed. "And now I will help you as you helped me. The herb you seek can be found by an ancient oak tree, in the very center of the forest." An image of a gnarled and twisting trunk came to her mind as she heard the centipede state, "We are all one." Then she awoke. The woman spent the next morning making her way into the heart of the woods, searching for the oak tree. As the day progressed she noticed that the trees around her were getting blurry. Gazing towards the sky, she saw that the sun was still high in the sky. With a dawning horror she realized that she, too, must have contracted the strange illness. Quickening her pace she continued toward the center of the forest, but with every step her eyesight worsened. Just as she was giving way to despair, she found the ancient oak tree. Even though she could barely see, she could tell it looked just like the one she had seen in her dream. Stumbling and out of breath, she began to search for the herb frantically. It was no use, her eyes could no longer tell one plant from another. Crying with frustration, she wept for her husband, her children, herself, and the people of her village. She turned to try to retrace her steps to her home, and then she remembered. The ants. Perhaps they could help her now. She called to them, and soon enough small voices responded. "Bend down," the queen ant's voice called. "The herb you seek is right here. I am standing on it." Gently the woman knelt and reached towards the sound. With cautious movements so as not to harm the queen ant, she found the herb and plucked it. Slowly and carefully she tore a small piece of the leaf and chewed it. Almost instantaneously, her sight was restored. Joyfully she harvested the herbs and prepared to return to her village. Before she left, however, she thanked the ants and proclaimed one last time, "We are all one." The woman walked as swiftly as she could all day and then all night, by the light of the moon. She hoped, oh, how she hoped, that she would return on time to save her village from blindness. Finally she reached her home. As she called to her children, they followed her voice, for by now they were all completely blind. Anxiously she gave them bits of the herb, and then she waited to see what would happen. 1 minute passed, and then another, and then her eldest son laughed with joy. "I see you," he shouted. "I truly see you." Soon everyone in the village had been cured of the strange illness, and the woman who had saved them all returned to her simple but happy life with her husband and their 3 children. And she never forgot that we are all one.
Now let's solve exercise 1, where you need to write the correct vocabulary word next to each statement that it best describes. I'll read each statement and guide you through the correct vocabulary word, with clear explanations to help you understand why it fits. So, keep your book open to page 143, and let's get started. Let's go over the answers for vocabulary exercise 1 on page 143. These vocabulary words match the statements given in your book. Listen carefully and make sure your answers are correct. Tripping or losing balance while walking, moving with difficulty. Answer, stumbling. B. Look steadily and intently, especially in admiration, or thought. Answer, gazing. C. Without defense or protection, totally vulnerable. Answer, defenseless. D. To cause pain or trouble to, affect adversely. Answer, afflicted. E. Move hurriedly with short, quick steps. Answer, scurrying. F. Pick up and move something. Answer, scooped. G. Make or become faster or quicker. Answer, quickening. H. Knobbly, rough, and twisted, especially with age. Answer, gnarled. Now that we've matched all the words correctly, be sure to note them down, understand their meanings, and practice using them in sentences. Let's continue to the next part of the exercise. Now we're on exercise 2, given on the page number 143, where you need to identify the suffix in each word, and then use the word in a sentence. Let's go through each word together. Answers. 1. Word, defense. Suffix, less. New word, defenseless. Sentence, the cat felt defenseless without its claws. 2. Word, final. Suffix, lie. New word, finally. Sentence, finally, after hours of waiting, the bus arrived. 3. Word, swift. Suffix, lie. New word, swiftly. Sentence, Ollie ran swiftly to catch the train. 4. Word, anxious. Suffix, lie. New word, anxiously. Sentence, Maha waited anxiously for her test results. 5. Word, blind. Suffix, ness. New, blindness. Sentence, Kashif suffered from blindness after the accident. 6. Word, instantaneous. Suffix, lie. New word, instantaneously. Sentence, the car stopped almost instantaneously when Qasim hit the brakes. 7. Word, quick. Suffix, lie. New word, quickly. Sentence, Katia finished her homework quickly so she could go out to play. 8. Word, ill. Suffix, ness. New word, illness. Sentence. Sohaib was diagnosed with a serious illness last month. 9. Word, joyful. Suffix, lie. New word, joyfully. Sentence. The children played joyfully in the park. Now let's begin the comprehension questions from page 144 of your textbook. We'll start with question 1, parts A and B. Q1A. Who are the characters in the story? Answer. The main characters in the story are the young woman, her husband, and their 3 children. Other characters include the village doctor, the queen ant, and Centipede. The ants and the villagers are also part of the story. All of these characters help show the values of kindness, bravery, and the power of helping others. Q1B. What is the setting of the story? Answer. The story is set in a village and a deep forest. It begins in the woman's home, where she lives with her family. Later, she travels through the forest to find her. The forest includes trees, a stream, and animals like ants and a centipede. Some parts of the story also take place in dreams, adding a magical and imaginative element to the setting. Take a moment to pause and write these answers, then we'll move on to the next question. Let's continue question 2. Why does the woman need to go to the deepest part of the forest? Answer. The woman needs to go to the deepest part of the forest to find a special herb that can cure a strange eye illness. Her family and neighbors are losing their eyesight, and she wants to save them. She shows bravery by going alone into the forest, all to help others in her. Now let's look at question 3. What does the author mean by, "We are all one"? Explain your view. Answer. We are all one means that all living beings, people, animals, and even insects, are connected. When we help others, that kindness can come back to help us too. In the story, the woman helps the ants and the centipede, and later, they in return, teaches us that kindness spreads, and we should show care and respect for everyone around us. Make sure you write these answers neatly, and understand the meaning behind them. Let's move ahead to the next questions in the chapter. Let's move on to the next question, from page 144. Q.4. What is the moral of the story? Answer. The moral of the story is that kindness and compassion always come back to help you. When you care for others, even small creatures, they may help you in return, when you need it most. The story also shows that bravery and love for others can help face big challenges, like sickness or fear. It reminds us that doing good for others makes the world a better place, for everyone. Take a moment to reflect on this message, and think about how you can show kindness in your own life. Now let's look at the next activity, on page 144. Question. Identify the correct sequence of events in the story by writing numbers 1 to 8 in the correct order. I'll guide you through the proper sequence of what happened in the story, step by step. Here is the correct order. Here are the answers. 1. Once there was a young woman, who lived simply but happily with her husband, and their 3 children until one day a strange illness of the eyes came into their home. To her husband and then their eldest son, started having trouble with their eyesight. Within a week, the illness had spread and now their middle son also could not see. 3. The people of the village began to wonder if they'll soon lose their eyesight. For early the next morning she headed into the forest, but the herb was nowhere to be seen. 5. She noticed a big rock had fallen into the stream. The little pool of water was flooding an anthill. 6. The centipede was scurrying across the ground as quickly as his many legs would carry him. 7. Finally, she reached her home. As she called to her children they heard her voice, for by now they were all completely blind. 8. Soon everyone in the village had been cured of the strange illness, and the woman who had saved them all returned to her simple but happy life. Let's begin the use of language section on page 145. This exercise asks you to underline the prepositional phrases in the given excerpt from the story. Before we start, let's quickly understand, what is a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a group of words that begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or pronoun. For example, in the forest, enter the table, by her side. Now, let's look at the excerpt and identify the prepositional phrases. Let's begin the use of language section on page 145. This exercise asks you to underline the prepositional phrases in the given excerpt from the story. Before we start, let's quickly understand, what is a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a group of words that begins with a preposition and ends with a noun or pronoun. For example, in the forest, enter the table, by her side. Now, let's look at the excerpt and identify the prepositional phrases. Let's now read the paragraph and spot the prepositional phrases together. The woman slept soundly. Here comes the first prepositional phrase. That night. Curled up. Here comes the second one. Under a large tree. Here's the third, with a blanket to keep her warm. As she slept, a strange dream came. Here's number 4, to her. In the next sentence, here comes number 5. In the dream, she was. And here's number 6, inside the anthill. Number 7 is next, surrounded by cheering ants. The queen ant stepped forward majestically. Do not be afraid, she reassured the woman. We have brought you here. Here comes number 8, to thank you for saving our home and our lives. Now, number 9. In return, if you need our help, all you need do is call for us, and we will hear you. And come, here's number 10, to your aid. As the dream faded and the woman began to wake, she heard the queen ant's voice calling, and finally, number 11, after her, distinctly saying, we are all one. Now let's move to the next activity, on page 145, where we write sentences using prepositional phrases. 1. In front of. The sentence is, the auditorium is in front of the main building. This shows location, where something is. 2. Because of. The village was saved because of the woman's bravery and determination. Here, the phrase is the reason. 3. Throughout the time. Throughout the time she spent in the forest, the woman kept thinking of her family. This shows the duration for with respect to. The woman showed great care with respect to the ants and other creatures she encountered. This phrase tells us what the care was related to. It shows connection or subject. 5. Around the world. People around the world have learned in that. We are all one. This one talks about place or reach, how far the message has spread. 6. Within the time. Within the time given by the queen ant, the woman managed to find the herb and save her village. This tells us she succeeded before time ran out, a time limit. We've now reached the last activity of this chapter, on page 146. This is a writing task, where you are asked to prepare a short news report about the cruelty carried out against animals. Use the pictures in your book to help you, and make sure to include prepositional phrases in your writing. Let me help you get started with an example of a well-written news report. Let's now wrap up this chapter with the last activity on page 146, writing a news report about cruelty to animals, using prepositional phrases. Here's a well-written example of the news report from the textbook. News report. Cruelty to animals must stop. Narration begins. Last week, many cases of cruelty to animals were seen in the circus, and on farms. A horse was forced to work under the hot sun with a tight bridle that hurt its mouth for many hours. A cow was kept inside a small box without enough space to move during the day and night. A dog was found with injuries on its body, left without food or water for several days. In the circus, animals were made to perform in front of crowds with loud music, causing fear in their hearts. We must treat animals with kindness and stop this cruelty in our world for a better future. This brings us to the end of Chapter 7, Part 2. We are all one. Well done on completing all the exercises. I hope you found this video helpful and easy to understand. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like the video, share it with your classmates, subscribe to my channel for more educational content. See you in the next lesson.